Don't let YouTube decide what information you get. That's your choice. YouTube is deleting our videos and cuts you off from a source of honest reporting. Make sure you don't lose access to NTD's news content, and take a quick moment to subscribe to our newsletter so no matter what happens here, you'll keep your access to a trustworthy news source.
California rail yard shootings happened. The U.S. Senate held a hearing for Biden's nomination to head the ATF. Nominee David Chipman, who currently serves as a policy advisor to a gun violence prevention group, said he supports banning one of the most popular rifles, the AR-15. NTD's Lynn reports.
David Chipman is President Biden's pick to lead the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or ATF. At Wednesday's nomination hearing, Chipman said he supports a ban on AR-15s.
With respect to the AR-15, I support a ban.
The AR-15 is one of the most popular guns in America, with over 40 years of history. The letters AR stand for its original manufacturer, Armalite rifle, and not for assault rifle or automatic rifle. Across the U.S., 7 states and Washington, D.C. have laws banning assault weapons. But Senator Tom Cotton says this term is created with a political agenda.
That there really is no such thing as an assault weapon. That is a term that was manufactured by liberal lawyers and pollsters in Washington to try to scare the American people into believing that the government should confiscate weapons.
Chipman worked at the ATF for 25 years. After retirement from the Bureau, he actively advocated for tougher gun laws. During the hearing, Republican senators quoted a Politico report saying President Biden's son, Hunter Biden, lied about his drug addiction on a gun purchase background check. When asked if Hunter Biden should be prosecuted, Chipman said he would not give any political favor.
I will ensure that all violations of law are investigated and referred. I'm not sure that it has not been investigated.
The ATF director seat has always been politically fraught. The Senate has confirmed just one nominee in the last 15 years. Most have been acting directors. Lynn, NTD News.
And a federal judge in Texas sided with a cafe owner who is suing the Small Business Association for prioritizing relief money based on race and gender. But in what situations can these race-based considerations stay in line with the Constitution? NTD's Christina Kim has that story.
Cafe owner Philip Greer is likely to succeed in his lawsuit against the Small Business Association. That's what U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor says. The Biden administration issued a directive that prioritizes pandemic relief funds to restaurants that are owned by women, veterans, and people considered socially and economically disadvantaged, referring to Native Americans, Blacks, Latinos, and Asians. For the first 21 days, the S.B.A. is only processing applications from this group. Proponents say these now prioritized groups have faced systemic discrimination, and these programs help address these issues and create more equity. But Greer, who is white, is arguing that the policy actively excludes entire classes of Americans not mentioned in the priority group who are also suffering significant financial losses caused by the pandemic. He reportedly lost $100,000 during this time. And according to the S.B.A., the priority group requested a total of $29 billion in funds as of mid-May. The Restaurant Revitalization Fund only has $28.6 billion, meaning there isn't enough money left for Greer. Legal analyst John Malcolm says these race-based classifications must be under strict scrutiny.
That means that the government has to demonstrate that they have a compelling interest in coming up with a law that makes racial classifications, and that the law is narrowly tailored to achieve that compelling interest.
But he says the government needs to prove this interest per industry. And according to the judge, the S.B.A. hasn't demonstrated there was discrimination in the restaurant industry that would justify this. So the question seems to remain, can the U.S. government tell some people they have to wait for help because of their race or gender? Malcolm says there will be plenty of instances these issues will be challenged, especially under the Biden administration.
The Supreme Court has obviously considered race-based classifications in a variety of areas, including government contracting, laws providing funds such as this Restaurant Revitalization Fund. They've obviously considered racial preferences in admissions schemes at colleges and universities, and the law is unsettled in that area.
Malcolm says ultimately these programs discriminate based on race and that this issue could use further clarification from the courts. Christina Kim, NTD News.
Another state is banning critical race theory. Tennessee public schools can no longer include the theory in their curricula starting July. NTD's Allison Lee has more.
Tennessee Governor Bill Lee signed a bill into law on Tuesday banning public schools and public charter schools in his state from teaching certain controversial ideologies related to race as part of the curriculum. While the law does not name critical race theory, it bans 11 concepts that form the basis of the theory. They include concepts like an individual, by virtue of the individual's race or sex, is inherently privileged, racist, sexist, or oppressive, whether consciously or subconsciously. An individual's moral character is determined by the individual's race or sex. A meritocracy is inherently racist or sexist, and this state or the United States is fundamentally or irredeemably racist or sexist. The law will take effect July 1st. Under it, Tennessee's Commissioner of Education must withhold state funds from public schools that knowingly violated the law. When the state legislature passed the bill earlier this month, the governor said schools should teach the exceptionalism of our nation, not things that inherently divide people. Tennessee is joining a growing number of states in opposing critical race theory. Idaho and Oklahoma banned the theory from public schools. Arkansas banned it from government employee training. South Dakota and Florida governors have taken similar actions. And the Georgia governor also opposed critical race theory in an open letter last week. This divisive anti-American agenda has no place in Georgia classrooms, he said. Allison Lee, NTD News.
Athlete and actor Cena is facing backlash for apologizing to Chinese fans for calling Taiwan a country. Many Americans are outraged, accusing him of appeasing the Chinese Communist Party for access to the China market. But a Hollywood producer says it's part of a bigger systemic issue that no one actor can fix, and that there's only one way to resolve it. Here are the details.
John Cena is best known as a WWE star. He's also an actor and one that speaks Chinese, as many people found out for the first time on Tuesday. After he issued this on-camera apology in Mandarin to his Chinese fans. His mistake? Referring to Taiwan as a country. In the eyes of the Chinese Communist Party, it's part of mainland China, and saying otherwise will get you in a whole lot of trouble. Here's his apology.
我爱更尊重中国更中国人，我很抱歉对我的错误，对不起，我很抱歉。
This comes as Cena's latest film, Fast and Furious 9, hits movie theaters in China. But he's receiving a lot of backlash for his apology, as many Americans view it as yet another celebrity kowtowing to the CCP for the sake of monetary gain.
The criticism is 100% warranted. Whether he should be the target of it all, I do disagree with.
Chris Fenton is the former president of DMG Entertainment Motion Picture Group, and for about 2 decades, he worked on some of the biggest blockbuster movies. He also authored the book Feeding the Dragon, Inside the $1 Trillion Dilemma Facing Hollywood, the NBA, and American Business. Fenton knows all about what it's like to deal with the Chinese regime in order to access the China market. It was part of his job for many years. As for Cena's apology, Fenton says he believes Cena was just complying with his contract. And he says if Cena came out and stood by his Taiwan statement, he would just be replaced by another actor. So the problem needs to be solved at its root.
I really don't think he wanted to step into this controversy, but he did. And we need to use this as a catalyst to fix things.
He says no one actor or individual can fix this issue because the problem is systemic and not just limited to Hollywood, but businesses worldwide. Cena may be the catalyst, but Fenton says for real change to happen, the entertainment industry must rally behind Cena.
And hopefully us leading by example as the Hollywood community can then spread such a pushback and such a solidarity movement to help other companies that are also accessing the China market to rebalance and disrupt the relationship that they have with China right now that needs to be rectified.
He says not only does Hollywood need to unite behind Cena, but the whole of America and the Western world needs to put aside their differences and come together to push back against the Chinese Communist Party.